Radio 4. We present The Archers.
Carol is worried about her son Richard. Not only is he withdrawn and antisocial when at home, but his schoolwork is not up to standard. As John is in America, she confides in Jack Woolley.
I only popped in to give Jennifer a message about collecting Anne tomorrow, Jack. I mustn't waste your time.
Wasting my time? Come and sit down, Carol.
Well, if you're sure.
I've finished my office work for today, believe me. So you're off to Richard's school first thing tomorrow?
Not at the crack of dawn. Richard's housemaster's invited me to lunch.
Oh.
We'll do our talking then, and I'll hope to get back before dark.
Means a lot of driving.
Oh, I don't mind that, if it helps to sort things out. You don't think I'm making too much of this, do you, Jack?
Well, I can't just ignore it and hope it'll go away.
If John were here, of course, it'd be quite different. In fact, well, that's jumping to a rather doubtful conclusion.
You mean if John hadn't gone away, Richard might not be behaving like this?
Oh, that'd be too easy, wouldn't it? Don't you think? No, I'm sure there's more to it than that.
Could be just a part of growing up.
Well, that's why I'm hoping I'm not making too much of it. Still, I'll know better when I've seen Mr. Marshall.
That is housemaster?
Yes, didn't I say?
No.
Oh, he's very pleasant. A little shy, but he seems interested in Richard.
Pity there wasn't more time last weekend when you took the boys back to school.
Well, that was murder, Jack. Boys dashing all over the place. Cases and trunks arriving, parents to be smiled at. Mr. Marshall could hardly finish a sentence without interruption.
Let's hope you get him alone this time, then.
Oh, he's promised that. He knows what a journey I'm making.
Well, let me know what he says.
But if it's a fortnight, Nora, you must go and see him for your own peace of mind. Especially when you never have any trouble of that sort.
Like clockwork.
There you are, then.
I told you what Polly said, though.
And she may be right. Let's hope so. But you're doing no good worrying.
I could be worrying over nothing, she says.
So you could. Now, mind, dear, stand clear. There.
You'll forgive me for asking, Mrs. Archer, but this isn't your usual time for doing your washing, is it?
It's my sister-in-law taking advantage of my good nature. In fact, I'm having to control myself. These woolies mustn't have rough treatment, but when I squeeze them, I find myself thinking of Laura's neck. And what a neck that woman's got.
You're not saying all these things are hers.
Heavens, no. They're for the charity shop. She took advantage of my apologising for leaving her out of things at Christmas.
You don't mean she agreed to let bygones be bygones if you do this washing?
Nothing so straightforward. Oh, no, she was quicker than I was. She must have seen I was having to pocket my pride and led me on to promise more than I really intended. And after all... Did you hear something? Not Dan, is it? He said he was going to make himself scarce for the evening.
Oh, well, that's what I must do. And thanks for listening, Mrs. Archer, and for, well, being so understanding about things.
Oh, nonsense, dear. No point preaching at folks when things have
There you
gone
are, then. Oh, good Lord, where's Aladdin and wishy-washy?
Hey?
Well, it's just like a Chinese lawn.
Well, I'm going to rub the magic lamp and disappear. I let myself out. And thanks, Mrs. Archer.
Oh, that's all right, dear. Make sure you go now and let me know how you get on.
I will.
What's all that about, Mum? Where's she off to?
Just the doctor's.
Oh.
And don't start putting two and two together, Phil.
I leave that to you ladies. Anyway, Mum, Jill's dying to know if you've heard from Kenton. He said he was writing to you.
Oh, I had a lovely letter card thing. You know, a lot of coloured postcards all joined together.
Yeah.
He seems to be having a marvellous time.
Oh, well, that's really something at the moment. We've been worried about Shula, but at least there's no need to worry over Kenton.
Shula's all right now, isn't she?
Oh, we're keeping our fingers crossed. She may be headstrong, but she does seem to learn from experience.
Oh, I do hope she does the same over this Eric Selwyn business.
Yes, I think she will. It's affected her quite a bit. Steadied her up, no end.
Got a lot of common sense, has Shula.
Well, look at tonight. As soon as she knew I had to go to Borchester, she asked me to pick her up at Tech.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, well, she wouldn't have done that not so long ago, would she?
Evening, Mr. Archer. Fancy seeing you in Borchester.
Hello, Neil. I could say that too.
Waiting for Shula?
Well, I promised I'd pick her up. Do you want to lift back?
No, Tar, a bit early. I've been doing a bit of painting for an old age pensioner. Just a little place by myself. And I'm going back to join the gang.
Oh, you've got to lift back with Peter, will you?
Ah, you've got it.
Neil, it seems funny to have to come to Borchester to say this to you, but thank you for what you did to help Shula sort herself out.
I didn't do nothing to speak of.
Well, according to the vicar, you were very helpful.
Oh, it wasn't nothing really. You reckon she has got things sorted out, do you?
Well, I hope so. She seemed quite keen for me to pick her up tonight.
You mean she wouldn't have been so keen a week or so back?
What do you think?
No, you're right.
We realise it's been a bit tricky for you when Mrs. Archer or I have asked questions, Neil.
I was just said I didn't want to make things difficult for her, even though I did think she was wasting her time with that chap. God, wasn't he a pill?
You reckon so? Ah, here she is. Hello, love.
Hello. Hi, Neil.
Hello.
Waiting for someone?
No, I'd just been and finished Mrs. Thomas's kitchen.
I bet she was pleased.
Pleased? I couldn't get away. Had to have 2 cups of tea and 2 slices of cake.
Oh, you poor thing.
Oh, the grub was all right. And the poor old grummet was glad of somebody to talk to. But I told the gang I'd see him at 1:30, and it's nearly 1:45.
Oh, I'm sorry I kept you, Neil.
Oh, that's okay. I'd better dash now, though. Cheerio.
Yeah.
Bye.
Quite a coincidence meeting, Neil.
Was it?
Eh? Oh, now, come off it. You really don't
Sorry, Dad. That was silly.
Well, yes, it was, rather. And just in case you're thinking otherwise, young Neil's behaved very well where you're concerned.
What did it have to do with him?
That's what he said. But he did get asked quite a few questions.
About me?
You and your friends. And he was very loyal. He even told Martha Woodford he felt protective towards you.
Neil did?
Said he was very fond of you. Like a brother and sister.
Oh, that sort of fondness.
Yes, that sort of fondness. I just thought I'd mention it. It'd be a shame if you didn't realise what a good friend he's been.
Yes. Especially the way I've treated him. Thanks for telling me, Dad. I'll give him a bun and a pat on the head one of these days.
Right then. That's your glasses refilled. Are you gentlemen all right now?
Yes, fine, thanks, Nora.
Good. I'll be back in a minute.
Hey, where does she keep bobbing off to?
Oh, search me. Had a half hour off earlier on this evening when I looked in to see you was about.
Well, that was to pop round to see Doris, so she said.
In working hours? That's not like Nora.
Any idea what she wanted to see Doris about, Dan?
No, and I shan't ask. If it's important, Doris will tell me. And if it's not, I'll not worry my head over it.
Oh, best way, I suppose.
Nora didn't seem herself there, does she? And she made things worse the other day when she went round apologising for being a bit snappy early in the week.
Oh,
Quite embarrassing, that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tony, how's Pat?
I bet she ain't going round saying she's sorry for being grumpy.
Not her style, that.
Oh, don't you be so sure.
Eh?
Oh, don't look so bothered. I only meant we'd had a bit of a disagreement and she's changed her mind, that's all.
Oh, nothing serious, I hope, lad. Or is it what you mentioned the other day?
Yeah, that's it. Hayden and the garage.
She had a point, you know.
Oh, I've managed to make her realise. It isn't very likely he'd make himself ill, now is it?
Hayden? How, Tony?
Pat's afraid he might do too much, and then she'd have to nurse him.
Knows where her duty lies, you mean?
Well, it was me she was thinking about. Well, the two of us, really. Married life suits us, you know. We'd hate anything to change it.
Nursing Hayden could be quite an interruption.
Well, I can't see it happening. And I've convinced Pat, too.
So now she is in favour of him running the place, is she?
Yeah, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And if we see signs that it's taking too much out of him, we'll say so.
Prevention's better than cure, you mean?
Exactly.
He won't be taking over yet a while, though, will he? I know Ralph and Lillian are off next week, but it'll be some time before the estate's sorted out, won't it?
Officially, yes. But Hayden's come to an unofficial arrangement with Ralph. He's taking over in a week or two.
Oh, you're up early, Shula.
That's nothing new.
I'd never noticed. Been too busy.
I'm just off to the stables.
Lot of changes round there now Mrs. Bellamy's given up.
Bound to be. But it's too soon yet to see the full effect.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Neil? According to Dad, I ought to thank you.
Me? What for?
Standing by me. Not letting me in for it.
Oh, that. Well, I hope I didn't drop you in it. Bit tricky sometimes, the questions they ask me.
Can't blame them. I suppose they must have been worried. Still, that's over, isn't it?
Is it?
Yes. I've stopped making a fool of myself.
Nobody ever said that, you know.
Well, I'm saying it. I thought I knew it all. I thought he liked me because I was... Anyway, it's all over. You never liked him, did you?
I thought he was a bit pathetic, really.
Pathetic?
Yeah, when a bloke like that spends all that time at tech and can only talk on one subject.
2.
Eh?
2 subjects. Hi-fi and jazz.
Oh, yeah. Still a bit limited, isn't it? Like Pete says, must be something wrong when a bloke's got nothing else in his life.
There was more in his life than he was letting on, wasn't there?
Yeah. Is that what finished it?
Well, what really got me was the stupid lies he told me. As if I was a little girl who'd believe anything. Anyway, thanks for being so decent.
It's all right. And you're always welcome to join the bags, you know. Regular, I mean. Not just helping out like you did after Christmas.
I think I'd like that. Not that I have much time.
Oh, that don't matter. Drift in when you can. Borchester Action Group's no different from any other. We can always do with more help. With no strings, of course.
I'll probably see you there one of these days.
Great.
And thanks again for being so decent. I shan't forget it.
Surveying the new landfill?
That makes me sound like Moses or somebody.
Well, it isn't the promised land anymore. It's yours now.
Yeah. I'm trying not to feel disappointed.
You hope for more out of Ralph's estate which was broken up, you mean?
I'd like to have been able to rent those milking units, I don't mind admitting.
Ralph had very clear ideas how he wanted things disposed of, hadn't he?
And to be fair, he's looked after his men.
Yes. What about his generosity to the church? Really putting his hand into his pocket. I couldn't afford that sort of thing.
Oh, yes, you could. In fact, so could I, even though I'm worth a good bit less than you.
By setting out, you mean? Like Ralph?
Yeah. There have been better times to do it, of course, and there will be again. But we were saying at an NFU meeting the other night, a lot of us there could do what Ralph's done.
Sell up and live in luxury on the proceeds?
Oh. We're not in as big a way as Ralph, of course. Well, hang it, he must be nearly a millionaire. But we could have a fairly easy life.
But you don't, do you? Neither you nor most of the other farmers. Any more than I do.
Oh, you did once, though, didn't you, when you first came here?
Ah, that proves my point. I sold a good few of my business interests, came to Ambridge for semi-retirement, and I've never been so busy, nor so happy in my life.
Yeah, it's in your blood, isn't it? Same as farming's in mine. Times couldn't be harder, and yet there's precious few of us getting out. And there are any number of young chaps like Tony dying to get in.
It'd be heaven in the country if you farmers all went for the easy option, wouldn't it?
Certainly it would. But somehow... Oh, that's Carol's car, isn't it?
Back from Richard's school. Evening, Carol.
Hello, Jack. Hello, Phil.
Hello, Carol.
How'd you get on?
Oh, very well indeed. I feel much easier now.
Good.
He's an awfully nice man, Mr. Marshall.
David's mentioned him. He says he's a sport.
He's very fair-minded and reasonable and... Well, it seems an odd word for a schoolmaster, but gentle.
And what have you decided to do?
Well, there isn't a great deal I can do, except show Richard that we care. Both John and I mean, and to keep in touch. I'm going to ring Mr. Marshall once a week.
That should save you worrying.
Oh, I am glad I took your advice and went, Jack.
Good.
The problem isn't solved, but somehow feeling his housemaster understands. The whole thing doesn't seem to nag nearly so much. Do you know what I mean?
Certainly do.
Oh, I saw David for a moment, Phil.
Yeah.
Sends his love.
How was he?
Smiling.
Good. Jill will be pleased.
So would I, if Richard looked half as lively.
He will, Carol, soon. Sure of it.
Yes? You what, Laura? Serve in the shop? Oh, I'd love to. What, a waiting list? Oh, well, put me down by all means.
Can I come in, Mrs. Archer? Just for a minute.
Oh, excuse me, Laura. I shall have to ring off. Someone's just come in. Right, yes. You'll let me know. Bye. Oh, that woman, trying to butter me up by saying I washed those things so well they went like hot cakes. Well, I told her. Nora, you don't look well.
I'm not surprised. I'm sorry to come bursting in like this, but I just couldn't think where to go for a minute till I've pulled myself together.
A touch of sickness, is it? Dizzy spell?
Oh, it's more than that. I've seen the doctor, like you said. It's as I thought. Now what am I going to do?
The Archers, written by Bruno Milner, script editor Charles LaFoe, was produced in our Birmingham studios by Tony Schran.
Good evening. It's 7 o'clock, and this is Paul Burton with News Desk. And today the Provisional IRA ceasefire came to an end, but the moves to try and restore the peace still go on.